Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rusty 78609 for a Beer 30 video from my Beer 30 patio here in Capitan, New Mexico. Temperature right now is probably in the 70s. And as you can see behind me, all the luxury I live in here. The decorative fence and stuff. And over here some flowers, but you can't see them. But what I wanted to touch on, I've been sitting here, of course, I sit out every day and think for an hour or so, maybe more. I know that's scary because that'll get you in trouble sometimes. But, one of the things I think about is what could I do to make my life more enjoyable? And can't think of a thing right now. I seem to be doing pretty good. And then I pondered this thing, I don't know what it's called, a plandemic or whatever they call it. That's my label for it anyway. But if it is a plandemic, it's doing a pretty good job. And I know a lot of people are having some difficulties during this time because, the lockdown and all their businesses are closed and all that stuff. But in thinking about it, seeing the direction that governments seem to be heading across the world, this could actually turn out to be a godsend, or it could actually turn out to be good, or not good in the sense that people are enjoying this mess, but good in the sense that it's leading to this thing that has been debated for years, a guaranteed living income for everyone on the entire planet. And it would be on top of whatever they earn, or if they receive any type of government benefits, it would be on top of that. So you just receive a check, like we have done across the United States, for $1,200 or more or less or whatever. But yeah, it just showed up in your checking account, imaginary dollars. Well, they're not imaginary. You can spend them. I guarantee you can. This beer, I didn't make it. I guarantee you that. Mm-hmm. Das is good. But so, it looks like that's the direction we're headed. And, and what that means is, or it would lead to is, we would live in a society worldwide where there was less stress or less economic stress. Maybe. I'm not a professional on this. These are just things I've thought about, because it seems like that the U.S. and other parts of the world, they're going to have a second and third economic stimulus to get this thing going. And then those things become addictive, like heroin, and people start to demand more of that. So is this good or bad? I don't know. Everybody thought back when Social Security law was enacted that it was over. That the government was going to send you a retirement check was ridiculous. That wasn't supposed to be that way, but they did. And fortunately, I'm 74. I get Social Security check. I did get my $1,200 stimulus check, which I put it in the bank, and I'm here in Capitan. And I'm going to have some gravel put on my driveway here if anybody ever shows up to do it. But, so that money will be spent, and then that money will be in circulation. And then eventually, I think where we're going to go, the next step is paper money, coins will be totally eliminated. And I think that'll happen in the next 10 years or less. Probably less. So all you people that have hoarded dollars and put them in your, well, I guess you'd still be able to take those dollars out of safety deposit boxes and deposit them into your account, and they just turn them into digits, which is fine. But no, I think that's where we're headed. China, in China, of course, China this, China that, China. They're using, you just use this is your checkbook right here. This is your everything book, your smartphone. And are we headed that direction? Sure. Yeah, we're headed the same way. And as far as surveillance, in Capitan, New Mexico, I don't think there's a single surveillance camera in the whole community. Of course, the whole community is 1,600 people. So you could surveil them yourself in probably about an hour, you know. And but in cities, you know, I'm not sure, you know, it's an imaginary problem, I think, you know, the Big Brother syndrome. It's change. That's all it is, guys. And, you know, get on, get off, or get out of the way, because change is always coming. It's always here. It always will be. And, you know, these young people, these young techies that have grown up with the internet and smartphones and stuff, you know, this is just a way of life, you know, and they're good at it. You know, and that's good, because, you know, I came into this world living on a farm in Kennedy, Texas, many years ago, and you know, high tech was a John Deere tractor, and or a radio, you know, and you know, you'd sit. I mean, I can remember sitting and listening to the radio, but we were all looking at the radio. You know what I mean? Like there's some magic there that you had to look at to really take advantage of it. But yeah, I remember, you know, like Suspense Theater, Danger, and all that stuff, and it was on the radio. And of course, then if you had a little transistor radio with a little ear thing, you could get Wolfman Jack. And I'm not sure where he was coming from, but every now and then I'd get him. And every now and then you could also pick up the Louisiana Hayride. But all that doesn't have much to do with the Plandemic. But don't you know, look at it objectively. My suggestion is everyone has to, you know, like my position is totally different from everyone else's. You know, we got 320 million people in the United States, and 320 million different perspectives, you know, and ways of living, and where they live, you know, large cities, small cities, mid-sized cities, you know, northern states, southern states, eastern, western, the whole thing. And everyone in that environment has to make their own choices. But I would recommend taking some time to think about, you know, how this all affects you. I'm sure most of you already have. And, you know, how long is this going to last? Well, you know, I think today or tomorrow in Texas, they're opening up, you know, the restaurants and a lot of things, and other states are doing the same thing. So, you know, we're turning the curve, and but the media is still in control. The media is calling the shots. The media and the politicians are calling all the shots, you know, because, you know, we don't know. I don't know. I mean, maybe you do, but I don't have all the facts related to this situation we're in. You know, are the numbers they spout correct? Who knows? You know, you can't verify them. And, you know, it's, so, you know, the media says this and the politicians say that, and you sit here, or I sit here, and I say, well, I guess that's the way it is, you know. That's real, you know. So, but again, this is probably going to drag on for a few more months. And for those of you that are, you know, addicted or enjoy athletic events and so forth, and go to the stadiums to watch football games, basketball games, you know, whatever, or even golfing events or whatever, that's all changed, man. It's they're postponed, delayed, or whatever. But you know, look at it objectively. You know, how does it affect you? You know, what can you do to fill in that void? And we are very adaptable as human beings. One of the things we can do is adapt. We adapted this like that. You know what I mean? You know, the next, you know, day 2, 3, you know, people are wearing masks and standing 6 feet apart. You know, we're sort of, we do adapt. Now, whether that made any difference, I don't know. I'm not going to take one side or the other, because I'm certainly not an expert on viral diseases, epidemics, or plandemics. And so, but anyway, I just wanted to give you a heads up to sit down and have it quietly somewhere, and turn all the media stuff off, and television and whatever you're watching at some time, and you know, do a little mental exercise. You know, like, okay, this is where we are. This is where you know, this is what I do, and this is how I live, and you know, how's this going to affect me? and be realistic. Yeah, it's going to do this and that and the other thing. But lockdown ends in Texas tomorrow, the next day, and whatever lockdown was. See, that's another thing I'll mention right now. I'm 74, retired, drawing Social Security, and I live in a 17-foot RV on this place here in Capitan, New Mexico, and I also have a home base in Texas. So as far as the national parks and all this stuff, state parks, etc., being closed, doesn't affect me a hill of beans, or doesn't affect me at all. And because I've got a place here that's very nice. The humidity right now is about 8%, temperature 70 plus degrees, whatever, in that range. And I'm contented, and I got plenty of beer, wine, whatever. So and food, beans, beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you poot. You've heard that, but yeah. So just lean back, guys, and think about think about your future. Whether this plandemic was here or not. It's a good mental exercise, and one of the things I mentioned at the beginning of the video is I'll sit out here or somewhere. I've got a patio in Texas at another home base, and I'll sit there and I'll ask myself a question, like, what could you do to make your life more enjoyable? And sometimes I can't come up with anything, and sometimes I come up with something like, go get a pizza, or go get another beer and chill out, because life is what it is, man. I listen here to the birds and stuff, and so, just relax, guys. That's my deal there. Take a deep breath. Breathe in deep, breathe out slowly. That relieves stress, and we are in a stressful period now, but it'll go away, and this too shall pass, the good times are coming and all that stuff. But I thought I'd just sit here and share this with you because, maybe some of you hadn't thought about some of these things, or maybe you have. Maybe you're really aware of your situation and you've thought it through. But for those of you that haven't really thought much about it and you're just kind of floating along in the inner tube of life, which is not bad, kind of think, say, well, okay, this is where we are. My job's gone or whatever. Maybe it didn't, and they're going to send me mega unemployment checks for a long period of time. But look at the end of the rainbow. When that well dries up, what are you going to do then? And maybe they're going to keep throwing money at the economy. I think that's the direction now. I really do. I think this is a good way to start the movement to a guaranteed living wage worldwide, because the robots have been here and are coming more and more. Artificial intelligence, learning algorithms, neural networks, they're real. They are really good too. And do they replace humans by the millions around the world? Sure. But so what we're going to have to do is adjust to a new way of life, and we're good at that, and I'm glad. But having said that, guys, from Capitan, New Mexico, out here on my Beer 30 patio. This is the first video I've done for my Beer 30 patio in Capitan, New Mexico. It's about 90 square feet, which means it's 9 feet by 10 feet, which is okay, But with that in mind, let me have another swaller, as we would say in Texas or East Texas. Not swallow, swaller. Anyway, here, let me have a drink. But anyway, guys, enjoy your life one day, one moment at a time. Thumbs up. Carpe diem, adios. Carpe diem is Latin for seize the day. In other words, go for it. Carpe diem, adios, bye-bye. Buy anything you want anytime. But if you think about it, use the link to Amazon products in the description of all my videos. Why? Well, you know why. But it doesn't cost you a penny. So if you choose to use it, fine. And then for some of you that wanted me to do Patreon and stuff, I did a substitute. And I've got a link to PayPal. It's called PayPal Me. And if you want to do that, fine. If you don't want to fool with either one of them, I don't care. It won't bother me 5 cents. I'm fine. I got Social Security. And believe it or not, I can actually live on my Social Security. Not super, but I mean, I can get by. So having said that, guys, take deep breaths, stretch, walk, stand guard at the door of your mind. You know what I mean? Stand guard at the door of your mind. Why? Because this is where you live, right here. This is your consciousness. There's little neural networks in there, they call them, that form your thoughts. And whatever you put in your mind, or whatever you pick up through your eyes and ears, whether it's negative or positive, goes into the mind field, so to speak. So add good ingredients. Try to eliminate negativity as best you can, and try to think positively. And that's why I came up with this deal. This could all turn out pretty good, in my opinion, which is worth what? Nothing. So having said that, guys, adios. Carry on. Enjoy your life one day at a time, and find you a spot to have a beer 30 or whatever you choose to do. Enjoy. Bye-bye.